What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today I'm going to be doing my first 2023 NBA mock draft as we are about 16 days or almost 15 days away from the NBA draft. As it's June 6th, almost June 7th, as it is late at night, around 11 o'clock, a little bit after 11 o'clock. So June 7th is tomorrow. So almost 15 days away from the NBA draft, almost 2 weeks away from the NBA draft. The NBA draft is on a Thursday. Yeah, it's on a Thursday and 2 weeks away from that. So on Thursday, the NBA draft is 2 weeks away. And I can't believe I haven't done a mock draft yet, and this seemed to be my first one. I thought today was the right day because we've been hearing a lot of rumors like Charlotte is most likely going to be drafting Brandon Miller now, and now we're hearing that Portland, there is a good chance they might not be able to trade their pick. So I think a lot of stuff is starting to happen in the couple first picks after the first overall pick, and we'll see what happens. Let's get started with the first overall pick. With this first overall pick with the San Antonio Spurs, there are a lot of prospects, different prospects. I think it's going to be a very, very hard choice for the San Antonio. Nah, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's going to be Victor Wembanyama, viewed as one of the best prospects ever. I honestly, even though Wemby, I don't know. I think, obviously, LeBron panned out to be a good player, but, I mean, would you consider Wemby a better prospect than LeBron? I don't know. I think it's a hard debate, but he's possibly considered to be the biggest prospect ever in basketball. So, I mean, I've heard some people say I've heard some Spurs fans say, I've heard a couple of Spurs fans say on Twitter we would reject a trade offer from the Sixers if they offered us Joel Embiid for the first overall pick. That's how high people are on this guy, and I'm high on him too. He's going to be an amazing player, and of course the Spurs are going to be drafting Wemby. I think it would take a lot. I mean, a lot for the San Antonio Spurs to not. I mean, the only way in Philly. I mean, only way the Spurs would not be drafting Wemby is if someone offered them honestly, I think the only trade that would probably get it done is probably Joel Embiid. So in that case, the Spurs will be drafting Victor Wembanyama for sure. Avoid all the speculation and all that stuff. Wemby will be going to the San Antonio Spurs. But then that's where it gets tricky. From pick number 2 to I think pick number 7 is everything is really a toss up. And with number 2, I have the Charlotte Hornets drafting Brandon Miller. It is basically, so there people are basically what's cool. The word is going on is that Charlotte's going to most likely be drafting Brandon Miller. So in that case, I have Charlotte drafting Brandon Miller. Had an amazing season this year in Alabama, 20.7 points per game with 9.1 rebounds per game, 20 almost 20 and a half years old, 6'9". I mean, he's 6'9" and is an amazing scorer, amazing shooter. I mean, amazing shooter at 6'9". So as much as a talent Scoot Henderson is at this point, you already have LaMelo Ball, and if you're not able to trade Terry Rozier, you also have Terry Rozier. Guard is not a huge need for Charlotte. So in that case, you can get Brandon Miller at the small forward position, which is honestly a way bigger need for Charlotte at that point. Because you could possibly keep Terry Rozier and play Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball in the backcourt. Then you would need a small forward. So I honestly think for Charlotte, as much as I think Scoot Henderson's going to be a baller, at this point, I really do think that most likely the best fit for Charlotte is probably Brandon Miller in this draft. And then at 3, a shocker here for most viewers, I got Portland drafting Amen Thompson. I know this might sound crazy, but if Portland is not able to trade this pick, And honestly, in my opinion, I think for Portland, it's either trade the pick or draft Amon Thompson. As good as Scoot Henderson is, averaged 21.1 points per game this year with 6 rebounds, 7 assists per game as well, 1.5 steals per game in the G League. I mean, if you're not able to trade the pick, I don't see the Blazers being that interested in Scoot Henderson. I only see the Blazers wanting Scoot Henderson if Dame is gone. Because if their point is to build around Dame is at the point guard position. Yes, I've heard Scoot. Scoot can obviously play the shooting guard. That's obvious. I mean, it's not his normal position, and if he's not comfortable to it, maybe they can move Dame to the shooting guard, which I really don't see that happening. But the thing is basically you can't really move Scoot Henderson to the 3. And in that case, and you can't really move Shaedon Sharpe or Anthony Simons to the 3 as well. One of those guys has to be at the 2, and I think I right now I see Anthony Simons staying. But Amon Thompson can move to the 3, something Scoot Henderson can't do. And I think Scoot Henderson's a way better player, but looking at stats, I mean, Amon Thompson averaged 20.8 points per game. Scoot Henderson averaged 21.1 points per game. Amon Thompson, I mean, I'm honestly, in my opinion, I think Scoot Henderson's a way better player, but both players played really well. And honestly, I mean, Amon Thompson played a little bit better than Scoot Henderson. I'm not saying Scoot Henderson is not the better. I'm not saying Amon Thompson's the better player. I think Scoot's the better player, but look at their stats in comparisons. 21.1 points per game for Scoot, 20.8 points per game for Amon, 6.1 rebounds per game for Scoot, 8.2 rebounds per game for Amon, and then Scoot had 7.6 assists per game, and then Amon had 7.9 assists per game, and then Scoot had a half a block per game, and then Amon had 1 block per game, and then the final stat, Scoot Henderson averaged 1.4 steals per game. I know that sounds really well, but Amon Thompson averaged 3.1 steals per game in the G League in the overtime with the overtime elite squad this year. So I don't know. Just viewing those stats, if I'm Portland and Amon Thompson, yes, he can play the point guard. He can play the shooting guard, but he can also play the small forward. He's almost 6'7". He's 6'6", but I've heard people say he's 6'7" as well. He's like almost 6'7". He's 6'6". He's listed 6'6", but he's like really close to 6'7". He's taller. I mean, he's taller as well. Scoot's 6'2". He can be moved to the small forward. Something I don't know if Shaedon Sharpe can be moved to. I'm for sure Anthony Simons can't play the small forward position. Obviously, Dame can't play the small forward position. So, in that case, if the Blazers aren't going to be able to trade this pick, I honestly think Portland should probably draft Amon Thompson. But what I think the number one thing Portland should do is trade this pick for win-now help. And I think the number one target has to be Pascal Siakam. But if you're not able to get that done, and you're drafting someone to third overall pick, it has to be Amon Thompson. Just with him being able to move it to 3, better defender. Yes, Scoot's a better 3-point shooter, but good rebounder, big thing is he can be moved to the small forward position. So honestly, in my opinion, if Portland keeps that pick 3 and it's down to Scoot Henderson and Amon Thompson, I think Portland might take a heavy decision on that one and possibly go with Amon Thompson. But that is what I think Portland would probably do, in my opinion. And you can call me crazy. I am crazy, but honestly, viewing the stats and viewing what Portland's at stake, because if they're not, I think it's trading the third overall pick with Anthony. I think the only way they trade Anthony Simon, obviously they've said they're not trading Shaden Sharp. I think the only way they trade Anthony Simons is if they're trading Anthony Simons with the third overall pick. And in this case, if they're not trading the third overall pick, they're not really going to trade Anthony Simons either. So that means Simons is staying. That means the third overall pick is staying. That means Sharp is staying. And who knows if that means Lillard is staying. So in that case, with all those guards there, with Lillard, Sharp, and Simons, if Lillard's staying, you go with Heyman Thompson because he can move to the small forward position. But, yeah, that's my thoughts. But then with the Houston Rockets getting the fourth overall pick, my favorite team, obviously there the Rockets would select Scoot Henderson, be the starting point guard, pair the backcourt with Scoot Henderson and Jalen Green, would be a perfect fit. And I think this right here would put the James Harden potential signing to bed. This is where James Harden would officially be, okay, I'm going back to Philadelphia. Because today was announced that James Harden was in the air between it. He was back and forth, could not decide what he cannot decide what he wants to do, whether re-signing with Philly or return to Houston. I think this draft pick, if Scoot Henderson falls to 4, the Rockets are obviously going to take him. That would put James Harden to bed for sure. But then the 5th pick for the Detroit Pistons, I have the Detroit Pistons, even though Cam Whitmore is definitely a decent player, and I think he's going to be an amazing NBA player. I have the Pistons selecting Jarace Walker and to pair that tall front court with Jalen Duren and Jarace Walker. Jarace Walker at 6'7", 250 pounds, freshman from Houston, my favorite team, the Cougars. He averaged 14.7 points per game at Houston this year with 9 rebounds per game, 2.4 assists per game, 1.7 blocks per game, and 1.3 steals per game. As much as a good player, I think Cam Whitmore might be. I think a front court duo between Jarace Walker and Jalen Duren would be nasty. I think it would be a really, really, really good front court duo between those two. Then with the 6th overall pick, I have the second Thompson twin going down with the Magic. These two picks by the Magic, it's very confusing for me because I have no idea what the Magic are going to do with these picks. I am doing trades in this mock draft. I'm not doing a lot. I'm not going crazy with trades. I only have 2 trades in 20 picks. I'm only going over 20 picks. And in those 20 picks, I only have 2 trades going on. There probably will be more than 2 trades in the first 20 picks. But as of right now, I'm only going with 2 picks. Just start off easy in my first mock draft. I definitely could see the Magic trading their 2 picks, if not one of them, with the 6 and 11. But I'm not gonna really go over the Magic right now. I think, I don't know. As of right now, I'm going to go with them keeping the 6th overall pick and drafting the second Thompson brother with Ausar Thompson. Averaged 21.3 points per game with 9 rebounds and 8 assists at overtime elite as well. So, and 3.5 steals. So both him and his brother had amazing seasons with overtime elite. It's just amazing. But then at 7, I have Cam Whitmore going to the Indiana Pacers. He'd be an amazing addition to the Pacers team. They want to bring some help next to Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin, and I think this would definitely be some really good help. Averaged 16.6 points per game and 7 rebounds at Villanova this year. I think it'd be definitely a major addition for their roster. And then at 8 for the Washington Wizards, I have the Washington Wizards selecting Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks this season at UCF. He's 6'9", freshman, 19 and a half years old, 15.7 points per game with 7 rebounds per game and 1.8 blocks per game. Really solid player. I think he's going to be he's a decent shooter as well. I think he's going to be a really, really good player for the Wizards. I think the big thing is what's going to have. I think there's a chance Porzingis might resign, but who knows? Then at 9 with the Utah Jazz, I have the Utah Jazz selecting Grady Dick. This kid's going to be special, man. He averaged 13.2 points per game this year at Arkansas, but I really do think this kid's going to be special. He's a really good shooter. I think or sorry, yeah, sorry, not 13.2 points per game. He averaged 5 point. I was looking at the wrong player. He averaged 5.5 points per game with 5.7 rebounds per game and 1.5 steals per game this year with Kansas, not Arkansas. I was looking at Anthony Black's stats. Grady Dick, Kansas, averaged 15.5 and 5.7 rebounds. Amazing shooter. I think he's going to be a hell of a talent for Utah if he goes there. And then the first trade I have going on here between the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. So I have, finally you see DeAndre Ayton going somewhere. I have the Dallas Mavericks trading for DeAndre Ayton, sending Tim Hardaway Jr., Davis Bertans, and the 10th overall pick to the Phoenix Suns for DeAndre Ayton. And then with the 10th overall pick, I have the Phoenix Suns drafting Cason Wallace, a point guard from Kentucky. Really, really solid point guard. Averaged 13 points per game and 5 assists per game as well. 2.2 steals per game. Why draft a point guard? I think this is maybe a sort of a Chris Paul replacement. Yes, Chris Paul is expected to return this season, but I think there's a really solid chance this could be Chris Paul's last year. Cason Wallace is going to be an amazing NBA player. Phoenix takes a chance on him, lets him be the backup point guard this season. And then if Chris Paul retires or Chris Paul would be a free agent the next season. So if Chris Paul leaves in free agency the next year or retires, Phoenix would replace him, and Cason Wallace would be a potential starter for Phoenix the next season in the 2024-25 season. So it's a really, really solid draft pick for the Phoenix Suns in the DeAndre Ayton trade. Then with the 11, I have the Magic selecting Anthony Black from Arkansas. That's the guy's stats I was talking about. He averaged 13 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, and 2.1 steals per game. Really solid player. Shooting guard / small forward. I think he'd be a really, really good fit in Orlando. I think it's really depending on who Orlando's going to add in free agency. We've heard Orlando's going to be interested in guys like Grant Williams and Gary Trent Jr. and maybe interested in signing both of them. So I think that could be really interesting. Then I have another trade here. I have the Atlanta Hawks and the Oklahoma City Thunder making a trade here. It's been reported that OKC is going to maybe potentially looking to get out of the lottery. And it's also reported the Hawks are going to be looking to get in the lottery. So I have the Atlanta Hawks trading the 15th overall pick and a first-round pick in 2024 that belongs to Sacramento Kings. Obviously, it's not that great to trade 2 firsts for 1 first to only jump 3 spots. But I think in this case, Atlanta is going to be looking for a certain player, and I'm going to go over that player in a second. And that first-round pick from Sacramento next year, that's going to be a hell of a pick. Sacramento, their pick this year is pick 24, and that they were I think Sacramento is going to be even better than they were last year. So in that case, with that, I think that could be a better pick than it was this year. I could see that pick being like maybe the 25th or 26th pick next year, or if not better, maybe 27. Who knows? But I think Sacramento is going to improve their roster after going down in the first round to the 7 seed Warriors. 6 seed Warriors. So I think Sacramento will be way better. I think Sacramento is going to either be the 3 seed again next year with the better record, or the 2 seed. I think Sacramento is going to be really good next season. So that's going to be a late pick. But I have Atlanta eyeing somebody with that 12th overall pick. I have Atlanta drafting Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins from UConn averaged 19.8 points per game. Sophomore, 21 years old, really, really good player. It'll be a really amazing fit for the Hawks off the bench. Then with 13, I have the Raptors potentially replacing Fred VanVleet here, drafting a point guard, Nick Smith Jr. from Arkansas as well. So another player from Arkansas going out, averaged 17.5 points per game. And then I have the Pelicans drafting a point guard as well. They might be looking to add in a point guard, either starting or a backup, because right now their starting point guard is CJ McCollum. As good as a player he is, he's not really a true point guard. He's basically really a shooting guard who's playing point guard right now. And I guess you would say their backup point guard is Jose Alvarado. So in that case, I think they draft the backup point guard and draft Jalen Hood-Schifino, who went to Jalen, he went to, where did he go? He went to Indiana and averaged 14.7 points per game. So that's who I have the Pelicans drafting. Then the Thunder. I have the Thunder making a splash here at 15 and getting Leonard Miller, who averaged 20.8 points per game this year in the G League, and also, was it the G League he played at? I think so. The G League, 20.8 points per game this year with 12 rebounds. Really solid player. I think a really, really good potential NBA talent. I think the Thunder, to get this kind of guy at 15 and also get another first-round pick with it, because you're trading down from 12 to 15. I think it's a really excellent move for the Thunder, just showing how good their GM is in this potential trade with the Atlanta Hawks. Then with the 16th pick, I have the Jazz selecting Keontae George. I'm going to go quicker here. I have the Lakers selecting Bryce Sensabaugh from, where did he go? He went to Ohio State. It makes sense. LeBron likes Ohio State. He likes them Ohio State. He likes those. He really does like Ohio State. It's his favorite team. It makes sense, the GM. But it's not even about Ohio State, because this kid is a talented player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's picked before 17. 24 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and a hell of a player. At small forward position, I wouldn't really be surprised if he goes before 17, but who knows? Then at 18, I have the Heat making a surprising move. I have the Heat drafting Jett Howard from Michigan, shooting guard / point guard. Jett Howard, let's go over this. Miami has a lot of potential free agents this year, and Jett Howard is a really good talent. He would help them off the bench, if not, maybe not play at all. Who knows? If they lose some decent guards off the bench, he could maybe help them off the bench. If not, probably wouldn't play at all. But not only that, but Jett Howard is related to someone who is very connected with the Miami Heat family. And if you don't know who his dad is, you're not really Juwan Howard is his father. Juwan Howard, the head coach of Michigan, currently, also part of that Michigan, the Fantastic Five. And not only that, was a part of the Miami Heat championship run as not only a coach, but a player. So Pat Riley, going into this pick, you not view this as seeing some NBA talent, but also sort of, look, okay, well, I know he knows this kid. Juwan was a part of his staff. I'm sure he knows Jett actually. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Heat, if they maybe feel like they're going to maybe lose out on Gabe Vincent in free agency, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Heat go after Jett Howard in the draft at pick 18. Then the final two picks, I have the Warriors with pick 19, adding in Derek Lively, the second, 7-1 from Kentucky, right? Kentucky. Duke, sorry. I always get confused between the two. Adding him in from Duke, 7-1. Had a monster year at Duke this year. He averaged 9 points and 9.5 rebounds per game. And not only that, but 4 blocks per game as well. So averaged 9 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, and 4 blocks per game. Warriors need size badly. The two biggest guys on the floor for the Warriors are Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. Draymond Green's a free agent, which I don't see Draymond leaving, but in that case, still need size for the Warriors. And in that case, I think if he's available at 19, you have to draft Derek Lively the second. And then at 20 for the Houston Rockets, my favorite team, I think at this point for the Rockets at 20, I thought it was, if Derek Lively is not available, you go with Chris Murray. Keegan Murray, Sacramento Kings, small forward / shooting guard's brother. I had a fantastic year at Iowa this season. At Iowa, averaged 20.9 points per game with 8 rebounds per game. He's almost 23 years old as well. He'd be a decent piece for off the bench. He's as good as his brother, which he kind of showed that from his college stats. He'd be really, really, really good for this Rockets team off the bench. So that's really it for my first mock draft of 2023. I'm going to do more of these as we wait for the rest of the draft, but You guys are my thoughts. That's it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, and peace out.